Hello and welcome back to Not an Art Tutorial. Today I'm going to do something that I've seen quite a bit on YouTube lately, redrawing your childhood art. And no, I'm not trying to chase trends, I was going to do it whether I made a video about it or not. So I started digging through my very unorganized pile of artwork looking for something worth reimagining. My loose pages were a lot of really simplistic sketches of just a face or just a mouse or something, very static images that would be really easy to recreate. I wanted something more interesting, so I moved on to my notebooks. I was in such a rush when I drew most of these pictures, I had no patience. Also, this ambulance is really moving. So I eventually settled on a man feeding his horse an apple in a field, drawn at age 15, a girl feeding her horse in a stable during a rain shower, drawn at about age 10, and a man being comforted by an angel, drawn at age 13. I like the simplicity of this one. I think them being in a sort of void kind of adds to it, even though the original reason for the white void was my phobia of backgrounds. I went with the dark void here to switch things up and make sure it didn't look unfinished. I should have done my sketch before I filled in the dark layer, but I didn't, so here we are. I'm a little surprised at how good this one is. Honestly, the body proportions aren't bad, and it actually makes you think, which most of my art didn't do at that age. I normally drew horses and the occasional human face, and some more horses, and that was about it. I actually liked the original pose for the man in this one. It's honestly a good pose, even if it was originally designed so I wouldn't have to draw a face. A lot of cool things in this piece were just shortcuts to begin with. The angel's pose looks very stiff though, so I did change his position. I still struggle with stiff poses, honestly. Yet another reason to use references. The original idea of the angel as a white silhouette and the man as a black one is kind of neat, so I kept the idea of the man as dark and the angel as light, but made them look less like paper dolls and more like three-dimensional characters, using my knowledge of shading that I've gained since then. The angel being stark white against the dark void behind them also really pops. I like the way that turned out. I gave the angel a shadow of light, which isn't a shadow then I guess, and gave the ground some texture by popping in these little pebbles, which are casting these really cool shadows. They were very satisfying to draw. I tried to keep this one simple. I didn't spend a super long time on it, only about 40 minutes, but still the angel's face doesn't really make me happy. Some days face profiles just don't work, but I was finished, so I moved on. For the next one, I decided to combine the two original pictures because they were very similar, just person feeding horse. So I chose to draw a girl in a raincoat feeding her horse an apple in a shed while it rains outside. And I will be doing a background. I wish I could tell my younger self that they're not that complicated. I hated backgrounds so much when I was little. I used to draw every single detail of every tree of a forest and couldn't figure out why it looked so bad. Now I know, less is more. Work from big shapes down to the details. I know this isn't an art tutorial, and those are actual art tips, but they aren't mine. I heard them from other people who are better at art than me. I was struggling with getting the horse's face shape correct. I don't normally draw horses from the front, I usually draw them from the side or in 3/4 view. So I grabbed Van Goghl's Black Beauty. It's an abridged illustrated version of the original and it's gorgeous and the horses in it are beautiful. I don't think I can share the part I used as reference for copyright reasons, but you can buy it on Amazon for $7. Please do, it's a beautiful book. I framed the girl and horse with the shed and overhang and the rainy hill and muddy pen outside, and then I was ready to start my shading. I began by darkening the entire left side of the piece to start building the mood and tone. I did something here that I shouldn't have. Put in some details. This is something I do with my digital art, sketch, line art, color, shading, but I don't do line art in my traditional work. Except I did. It's a bit of a habit after more than 40 digital art pieces in just the past few months. So I did the line art, wished for my undo button, got frustrated at myself, and set the project down for about a week. Or more. One of the many reasons this video has come out so late. Late Merry Christmas, by the way. I noticed something while pawing through those old notebooks. I realized that when I was little, I was much more interested in creating little picture books than just drawing pictures. I wanted to make stories, and I still do. I've been working on my writing skills for almost as long as my art skills. I was always a big reader, and story is very important to me. I wrote little stories about animals a ton when I was a kid, but I wrote my first cringy, dramatic chapter book at age 13. The plot made little to no sense, and at several points it was simply a ripoff of my current favorite book, but it was a start. I've finished several since, but they're not really fit for the public eye. I will be talking more about my writing journey and doing cover art for a bunch of my old books and my current book for a future video, so keep an eye out for that. I completely forgot about the apple. I was so caught up with the puddles and mud of the pasture until I showed it to someone and they said, "Why is her hand like that?" And I said, "Oh, she's holding an apple." But it was like a ghost apple that was all blended into the background. So I'm glad they caught it for me because I honestly might have never put it in. I made sure to add contrast to the back of her jacket where it meets the wall and the horse's nose where it meets her shoulder, just to make sure things weren't blending into each other and you could see each element clearly. You see her eyes here? They're perfect. I should have left them alone, but I tried to change them just the slightest bit and panic. Her left eye was looking up and her right eye was looking down. I went in erasing, blending, adding a little more pencil, and then frantically erasing again. I got distracted, adding more details to the mud and water and rain, and then came back to it. Thankfully, I saved it because I was so far along and there were so many layers of graphite in that paper, it probably would have been impossible to completely erase and start over. I will admit, I might have gone a little overboard with the details in this piece. I spent way too long obsessing over the little things. I am happy with how it turned out though. And here are the final results. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.